Listen, come forward. After study now, Shri Shri Radha Gokuland ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Granthai ki, Prabhat ki. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasaya Bhutile, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Manor, Niti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasaya Bhutile, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Manor, Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi, Bhagavani Prasarine, Nirvisesa Sunyavadi, Vakshata Dharine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Bol, everybody. Louder. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govind Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai, Radha Raman Hari Govind Jai Jai, Govind Jai Jai Gopal Jai Jai. Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Jai Radha Gokul Nand Radha Gokul Nand Radhe Shri Radha Gokuland ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Grandhai ki, Prabhupada ki.
Please all bow down now. We will offer praying and dwelling place. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Pada Vrajapacharya Shrotar Shrotar Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj ki. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki. Kamsa Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kundara Pankiri Govardhan ki. Shri Vrindavan ki. Mayapur Dham ki. Jagannathpuri Dham ki. Ganga Mai ki. Yamuna Mai ki. Tulsi Maharani ki. Samavita Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki. Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. So now we'll be singing Nrsimhadev prayers. So we request everyone to sit down as we sing the prayers.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadayine. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaya. Yato yato yamitato nishimo. Pahe nishimo, hirare nishimo. Narasimha Marim Sharanam Prapadye. Kavajara Kamarada Venakam Abhuta Shringam Lalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Vrindam Keshavadvita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Nrsimhadev, 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 Jaya Nrsimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we will be serving Mahaprasad and Sri Krishna very shortly. Please take a few down to Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So, yes, as you just heard, Mahaprasadam is being served in the Haveli now. If you're not sure where that is, it's in this direction. Yeah, you go around, out and around to your right, and you'll come to this circular area, just behind this wall. And then you go down the steps into the Haveli courtyard, and Prasadam is being served on the right-hand side. In the meantime, in the temple room, for those of you who want to stay with us, we're going to continue some chanting and hearing. Specifically, we'll be reading from one of our books called Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is a very nice opportunity to fulfill the purpose of coming to the temple, which is really to hear about the Lord. One becomes advanced in spiritual realization and perfects the human form of life by the process of hearing, first of all. This is the first and most important item in Bhakti Yoga. So, it's very nice to come to the temple, of course, and to see the deity form of Lord Sri Krishna, and to offer our prayers. Yes, certainly these are important items of devotional service. But our spiritual master explained, as supported by the scriptures, the first and most important item in Bhakti Yoga is called Shravanam, hearing. And when one hears about Krishna, one becomes enthusiastic about one's relationship with the Lord. And so this hearing is so essential, and it must be done every day. So we're going to be reading, as we do at this time almost every day, from Krishna book. Just give me a minute to get set up. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Sadvaitam Savadhutam Vichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishnatam Shcha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachayane Vishesha Shunyavadi Ashtadharmashyatayane Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvi Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Premapuraya Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Name Gaurantishaya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Ishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare So we're reading from Krishna Book, Volume 2, Chapter 25, which is called Meeting Lord Krishna with Sudama Brahmana. King Parikshit was hearing the narrations of the pastimes of Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram from Shukadeva Goswami. These pastimes are all transcendently pleasurable to hear. And Maharaj Parikshit addressed Shukadeva Goswami as follows. My dear Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the bestower of both liberation and love of God simultaneously. Anyone who becomes a devotee of the Lord automatically attains liberation without having to make a separate attempt. The Lord is unlimited, and as such, his pastimes and activities for creating, maintaining, and destroying the whole cosmic manifestation are unlimited. I therefore wish to hear about his other pastimes, of which you may not have spoken as yet. My dear Master, the conditioned souls within this material world have been frustrated by searching out the pleasure of happiness derived from sense gratification. Such desires for material enjoyment are always piercing the heart of conditioned souls. Does anybody resonate with this statement? That desires for material enjoyment are always piercing the heart? You want something, but maybe you can't get it. Or maybe you get it and it's not all it's cracked up to be. Or you get something and you think, that's nice, and then immediately something better seems to pass by, and you're like, wait a second, you didn't tell me about that one. So the desires for enjoyment in this material world are endless. Endless. And it's not possible to become satiated, satisfied. The Rolling Stones wrote a sensible lyric when they said, I can't get no satisfaction. So, what's the solution? Well, Maharaj Parikshit says, but I am actually experiencing how the transcendental topics of Lord Krishna's pastimes can relieve one from the state of being affected by such sense gratificatory material activities. So the desires for material enjoyment are always piercing the heart of conditioned souls. But I am actually experiencing how the transcendental topics of Lord Krishna's pastimes can relieve one from the state of being affected by such sense gratificatory material activities. So if we're in pain, mentally especially, there is a shelter, a ready shelter, and that shelter is the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By hearing and chanting his glories, one can get relief. Maharaj Parikshit continues, I think that no intelligent person can reject this method of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord again and again. Simply by hearing, one can remain always steeped in transcendental pleasure. Thus, one will not be attracted by material sense gratification. Srila Prabhupada writes, in this statement, Maharaj Parikshit has used two important words, Vishana and Visheshajna. Vishana means morose. The materialistic persons are inventing many ways and means to become fully satisfied, but actually they remain morose. Always running after something to become happy. But what about right now? How about the meantime? Always looking forward, looking ahead. How to get something to please me. Yes? But what about now? Am I pleased now? Actually, they remain morose. The point may be raised that sometimes those who are transcendentalists also remain morose. Parikshit Maharaj has used, however, the word Visheshajna. There are two kinds of transcendentalists, namely the impersonalists and the personalists. Visheshajna refers to the personalists, who are interested in transcendental variegatedness. Transcendental variegatedness means variety on the spiritual platform. Yes? Some people think that spirituality means no variety because they experience all kinds of variety in the material world. And if spiritual is the opposite of material, then how can there be variety in the spiritual? But this is a mistaken idea because they're simply speculating about the spiritual by negating their material experience. But actually, we get information from the Vedic literature that real spiritual means transcendental variety. Actually, variety in its original form exists in the spiritual world. We perceive and experience variety in this world because there is variety there in the spiritual world. This place is just a reflection, a perverted reflection. So Visheshajna refers to the personalists who are interested in transcendental variegatedness. Those who recognize that the Supreme Absolute Truth is ultimately a person and they want to have a personal relationship with Him. They are interested in the variety of spiritual life. Whereas the impersonalists, they are inclined to non-variety. It's their loss. The devotees become jubilant by hearing the descriptions of the personal activities of the Supreme Lord. Whereas the impersonalists, who are actually more attracted by the impersonal feature of the Lord, are only superficially attracted by the personal activities of the Lord. As such, in spite of coming in contact with the pastimes of the Lord, the impersonalists do not fully realize the benefit to be derived. And thus they remain in exactly the same morose position due to fruitive activity with the materialists. So the impersonalists, they might come in contact with the personal activities of the Lord and the descriptions of Krishna's spiritual pastimes, but they actually don't understand them. And they certainly don't understand the value of Krishna's varied pastimes. And thus they remain in the morose position along with the materialists, because all they know is striving for a result which ignores a relationship with the Lord. So if one simply strives for a result, ignoring the Lord, one will only be morose. That is the only result of ignoring the Lord. If we want to end our moroseness, then we have to establish and act in a relationship with Krishna. We have to serve Krishna. We have to connect with Krishna. And Bhakti Yoga is the perfect process for doing this, beginning with hearing. King Parikshit continued. The capacity for talking can be perfected only by describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord. The capacity for working with one's hands can be successful only when one engages himself in the service of the Lord with those hands. Similarly, one's mind can be pacified only when he simply thinks of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. This does not mean that one has to be very thoughtful, but one simply has to understand that Krishna, the Absolute Truth, is all-pervasive by his localized aspect as Paramatma. As Paramatma, Lord Krishna is within everything, including each atom. Andantarasta Paramanu, Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarasta. Krishna is within every atom that is within this universe. He is within every atom, and every atom is within him. Every universe is within him. This is Krishna. He is all-pervading as the Super Soul. If only one can think that Krishna, as Paramatma, is everywhere, even within the atom, then one can perfect the thinking, feeling, and willing function of his mind. This is such an essential, salient sentence. If only one can think that Krishna, as Paramatma, is everywhere, even within the atom, then one can perfect the thinking, feeling, and willing function of his mind. Because the mind is always thinking, feeling, and willing for some purpose, some goal to achieve, something to enjoy, some purpose to serve. And therefore the mind is engaged in various thoughts, feelings, and willings in order to get a particular result. But if only one can think that Krishna, as Paramatma, is everywhere, even within the atom, then one can perfect the thinking, feeling, and willing function of his mind. And then we'll be peaceful. This is the platform of real peace. The perfect devotee does not see the material world as it appears to materialize, but he sees everywhere the presence of his worshipable Lord in his Paramatma feature. The perfect devotee does not see the material world as it appears to materialize, but he sees everywhere the presence of his worshipable Lord in his Paramatma feature. Maharaj Parikshit continued to say that the function of the ear can be perfected simply by engagement in hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord. He said further that the function of the head can be fully utilized when the head is engaged in bowing down before the Lord and his representative. That the Lord is represented in everyone's heart is a fact, and therefore the highly advanced devotee offers his respects to every living entity, considering that the body is the temple of the Lord. But it is not possible for all men to come to that stage of life immediately, because that stage is for the first-class devotee. The second-class devotee can consider the Vaishnavas, or the devotees of the Lord, to be representatives of Krishna. And the devotee who is just beginning, the neophyte or third-class devotee, can bow his head before the deity in the temple and before the spiritual master, who is the direct manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is very interesting, instructive. 3 types of devotees with different grades of realization. Srila Prabhupada says that it's a fact that the Lord is represented in everyone's heart. That's a fact. Krishna is in everyone's heart. Therefore, the highly advanced devotee offers his respects to every living entity, considering that the body is the temple of the Lord. He sees Krishna everywhere. He knows and sees that Paramatma is in everybody's heart. So he offers respects to all living entities. But it's not possible for every person to come to that stage immediately, because that's for the first-class devotee. The second-class devotee, how does he see the Lord represented? He may not be able to see how the Lord, or remember that the Lord, or have realization how the Lord is in everyone's heart, although he may remind himself of it. But he can consider that the Vaishnavas, the devotees of the Lord, are representatives of Krishna. And the devotee who is just beginning, the neophyte devotee, third-class devotee, what can he do? Well, he can bow his head before the deity in the temple and before the spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is the direct manifestation of the Supreme Personality of God. Sakshat Hari Tvena Samasta Shastraya. Uktastata bhavyata evasavi. All the scriptures affirm that the spiritual master is Sakshat Hari. He's directly the manifestation of Krishna, external manifestation. Chaitya Guru, who is in the heart, appears externally in the form of the spiritual master to guide the conditioned soul. So Srila Prabhupada writes, in the neophyte stage, in the intermediate stage, or in the fully advanced, perfected stage, one can make the function of the head perfect by bowing down before the Lord or his representative. So whatever stage of devotional service one is at, one can perfect the function of the head by bowing down before the Lord or his representative. And therefore, at the end of every arati, we ask everybody to, at least at that time, bow down and chant the Prematani prayers. Sometimes we ask all the assembled devotees to do this, and not everybody does it. They have some kind of aversion or reluctance or laziness to bow their head. But this is actually very beneficial, to bow the head, to submit to Krishna, who is our best friend. Similarly, he can perfect the function of the eyes by seeing the Lord and his representative. In this way, everyone can elevate the functions of the different parts of his body to the highest perfectional stage simply by engaging them in the service of the Lord or his representative. If one is able to do nothing more, he can simply bow down before the Lord and his representative and drink the Charanamrita, the water which has washed the lotus feet of the Lord or his devotee. On hearing these statements of Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami became overwhelmed with devotional ecstasy because of King Parikshit's advanced understanding of the Vaishnava philosophy. Shukadeva Goswami was already engaged in describing the activities of the Lord, and when he was asked by Maharaj Parikshit to describe them further, he continued with great pleasure to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam. There was a very nice Brahmana friend of Lord Krishna. As a perfect Brahmana, he was very elevated in transcendental knowledge, and because of his advanced knowledge, he was not at all attached to material enjoyment. Therefore, he was very peaceful and had achieved supreme control over his senses. This means that the Brahmana was a perfect devotee, because unless one is a perfect devotee, he cannot achieve the highest standard of knowledge. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that a person who has come to the point of perfection of knowledge surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is that verse? Bahunam jamanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, one who is actually advanced in knowledge surrenders to Krishna, Lord Vasudeva, knowing that Krishna is everything. Such a great soul is very rare. In other words, any person who has surrendered his life for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead has come to the point of perfect knowledge. The result of perfect knowledge is that one becomes detached from the materialistic way of life. This detachment means complete control of the senses, which are always attracted by material enjoyment. The senses of the devotee become purified, and in that stage the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord. That is the complete field of devotional service. So we have these senses, we find ourselves with this body, this mind, and the senses are dragging us here and there requiring that we satisfy them. But they're never to be satisfied. They're like serpents, constantly biting. How can you control a serpent? You have to become an expert snake charmer. So how do you charm the serpent of the senses? Well, the only real successful method is to engage those same senses in the service of their master. Yeah? Krishna is known as Hrishikesha. And bhakti means Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam. Engaging the senses in the service of the master of the senses. Krishna is the master of the senses. So when we engage our eyes to see the form of the Lord and His devotees, or to read His book, when we engage the ear to hear the messages of the Lord vibrated by Krishna and Krishna's devotees, hearing His holy names, when we engage the head to bow down to the Lord and His devotees, when we engage our traveling senses, our legs, on our vehicle to come to Krishna's temple or to go out and preach. Right? These are all different ways in which we can engage the senses. The hands, so many things we can do for Krishna with our hands. We can cook for Krishna, make flower garlands for Krishna. So many activities are possible by utilizing the senses of this body. And all of those activities can be engaged to satisfy Krishna under the guidance of a spiritual master, the spiritual master. So when one becomes completely purified by this activity of devotional service, then complete detachment from the materialistic way of life is there. Bhakti means engaging our senses in the service of the master of the senses. And when we do this, there are two side effects. One's senses are purified completely, and one becomes free of all material designations. One does not think oneself as Indian or English, or Australian or Russian or South African, Argentinian, American, or black, white, thick or thin, tall or short, male or female, or whatever other designations are popular nowadays. One does not think in those terms because one knows that I have nothing to do with this external body. I am part and parcel of Krishna. Jivera Swarupaha Krishnera Nityadas. I'm Krishna's eternal servant. I'm a tiny spiritual spark of the Supreme Spirit. So this body and mind can be pacified only by engaging the body and the mind in thought of Krishna and activities for the sake of Krishna. So this Brahmana friend of the Lord, Sudama, Prabhupada says he was a perfect devotee and free from the materialistic way of life because his senses were under complete control. If his senses were under complete control, then he was perfect devotee, fully knowledgeable and peaceful. Although the Brahmana friend of Lord Krishna was a householder, he was not busy accumulating wealth for very comfortable living. Therefore, he was satisfied by the income, which automatically came to him according to his destiny. This is the sign of perfect knowledge. A man who is in perfect knowledge knows that one cannot be happier than he is destined to be. In this material world, everyone is destined to suffer a certain amount of distress and to enjoy a certain amount of happiness. The amount of happiness and distress is already predestined for every living entity. No one can increase or decrease the happiness of the materialistic way of life. The Brahmana, therefore, did not exert himself for more material happiness, but he used his time for advancement of Krishna consciousness. Externally, he appeared to be very poor because he had no rich dress and could not provide a very rich dress for his wife. And because their material condition was not very opulent, they were not even eating sufficiently. And thus both he and his wife appeared to be very thin. The wife was not very anxious for her personal comfort, but she felt very concerned for her husband, who was such a pious Brahmana. She was trembling due to her weak health, and although she did not like to dictate to her husband, she spoke as follows. So before we hear what Sudama Vipra's wife said to him, we should just remind ourselves of something very important Srila Prabhupada brings out in this paragraph. He says that happiness and distress are predestined, and it is not by striving harder that one can gain more than one is destined to gain. Narada Muni says in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam nuparyata talabhyate dukkavar anyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabhira ramasa. That one who is thoughtful, philosophically inclined, intelligent, should consider that now that one has the human body, one should strive for that thing which one has not been able to achieve throughout all sorts of lifetimes. From the topmost planet in the universe down to the bottom, sense gratification is readily available. And just as miseries find us, even though we're not asking for them, we're not looking for them, I'm not trying to become unhappy, I'm not seeking out miserable conditions or difficult situations. Yeah? They find us. Unhappiness finds us. In the same way, happiness finds us. Whether or not we try for it, whether or not we try for it. Misery comes, even though we don't want it. Similarly, material happiness comes, even if we don't try for it. Therefore, don't waste your time trying to get more happiness than you are destined to get with this body. Spend your time and your energy for that thing which is not available from top to bottom through countless lifetimes. What is that? It is Krishna consciousness. Engage your body, mind, and words in the service of the Lord. By hearing His glories from the mouth of self-realized devotees. Sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam. Stane stita shuddhigitam tanadam. Just hear about Krishna from Krishna's self-realized devotees. And in this way, you will perfect your life. So Sudama Brahmana, he did this because he was fully knowledgeable. He didn't waste his time trying to become more opulent or happy than he was meant to be. And we should not think that, because he did not try, that's why he was poverty-stricken. No. There are also examples of devotees of Krishna who were fully absorbed in his service who also lived in opulence. Yeah? Great kings such as Yudhishthira Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj himself. When he was born, he was already a Mahabhagavata, it's described. He was born into great opulence. So along with the body comes a predestined amount of happiness and distress. We should not attempt to get more by performing material activities. It is not possible. One can only improve one's condition by Krishna consciousness. That is the only viable method of improvement. So, Sudama Brahmana's wife, she did not like to dictate to her husband, but she was concerned for him. And so she said to him as follows: "My dear Lord, I know that Lord Krishna, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune, is your personal friend. You are also a devotee of Lord Krishna, and he is always ready to help his devotee. Even if you think that you are not rendering any devotional service to the Lord, still you are surrendered to him, and the Lord is the protector of the surrendered soul. Moreover, I know that Lord Krishna is the ideal personality of Vedic culture. He is always in favor of Brahminical culture and is very kind to the qualified Brahmanas. You are the most fortunate person because you have, as your friend, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna is the only shelter for personalities like you because you are fully surrendered unto him. You are saintly, learned, and fully in control of your senses. Under the circumstances, Lord Krishna is your only shelter. Please, therefore, go to him. I am sure that he will immediately understand your impoverished position. You are a householder. Therefore, without any money, you are in a distressed condition. But as soon as he understands your position, he will certainly give you sufficient riches so that you can live very comfortably. Lord Krishna is now the king of the Bhoja. He is now the king of the Bhoja, Vishnu, and Andhaka dynasties. And I have heard that he never leaves his capital city, Dwarka. He is living there without outside engagements. He is so kind and liberal that he immediately gives everything, even his personal self, to any person who surrenders unto him. When he is prepared to give himself personally to his devotee, then there is nothing wonderful in giving some material riches. Of course, he does not give much material wealth to his devotee if the devotee is not very fixed. But I think in your case, he knows perfectly well how much you are fixed in devotional service. Therefore, he will not hesitate to award you some material benefit for the bare necessities of life. Srila Prabhupada writes, in this way, the wife of the Brahmana again and again requested, in great humility and submission, that he go to Lord Krishna. The Brahmana thought that there was no need to ask any material benefit from Lord Sri Krishna, but he was induced by the repeated requests of his wife. Moreover, he thought, if I go there, I shall be able to see the Lord personally. That will be a great opportunity, even if I don't ask any material benefit from him. When he had decided to go to Krishna, he asked his wife if she had anything in the home that he could offer to Krishna, because he must take some presentation for his friend. The wife immediately collected four palms full of chipped rice from her neighboring friends and tied it in a small cloth, like a handkerchief, and gave it to her husband to present to Krishna. So they were so poor that she had to accept this chipped rice from her neighboring friends. But even though Sudama was in this impoverished condition, and never at any stage was he thinking that, I'm going to get some material benediction from Krishna. Right? Or that, I'm going to go and ask him for something. He wasn't bothered. He just went because his wife was repeatedly requesting him. So to please her, he obliged. Without waiting any longer, the Brahmana took the presentation and began to proceed toward Dwarka to see his Lord. While he was proceeding toward Dwarka, he was absorbed in the thought of how he could be able to see Lord Krishna. He had no thought within his heart other than Krishna. It was, of course, very difficult to reach the palaces of the kings of the Yadu dynasty, but Brahmanas were allowed to visit, and when the Brahmana friend of Lord Krishna went there, he, along with other Brahmanas, had to pass through 3 military encampments. In each camp there were very big gates, and he also had to pass through them. After the gates and the camps, there were 16,000 big palaces, the residential quarters of the 16,000 queens of Lord Krishna. The Brahmana entered one palace, which was very gorgeously decorated. When he entered this beautiful palace, he felt that he was swimming in the ocean of transcendental pleasure. He felt himself constantly diving and surfacing in that transcendental ocean. At that time, Lord Krishna was sitting on the bedstead of Queen Rukmini. Even from a considerable distance, he could see the Brahmana coming to his home, and he could recognize him as his friend. Lord Krishna immediately left his seat and came forward to receive his Brahmana friend, and, upon reaching him, embraced the Brahmana with his two arms. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all transcendental pleasure, and yet he himself felt great pleasure upon embracing the poor Brahmana because he was meeting his very dear friend. Lord Krishna had him seated on his own bedstead and personally brought him all kinds of fruits and drinks to offer him, as is proper in receiving a worshipable guest. Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme pure, but because he was playing the role of an ordinary human being, he immediately washed the Brahmana's feet and, for his own purification, sprinkled the water onto his head. After this, the Lord smeared the body of the Brahmana with different kinds of scented pulp, such as sandalwood, aguru, and saffron. He immediately burned several kinds of scented incense, and, as is usual, he offered him aratrika with burning lamps. After thus offering him an adequate welcome, and after the Brahmana had taken food and drink, Lord Krishna said, "My dear friend, it is a great fortune that you have come here." Srila Prabhupada writes, the Brahmana, being very poor, was not dressed nicely. His clothing was torn and dirty, and his body was also very lean and thin. He appeared not to be very clean, and because of his weak body, his bones were distinctly visible. The goddess of fortune, Rukmini Devi, personally began to fan him with the chamara fan. But the other women in the palace became astonished at Lord Krishna's behavior in receiving the Brahmana in that way. They were surprised to see how eager Lord Krishna was to welcome this particular Brahmana. They began to wonder how Lord Krishna could personally receive a Brahmana who was poor, not very neat or clean, and poorly dressed. But at the same time, they could realize that the Brahmana was not an ordinary living being. They knew that he must have performed great pious activities. Otherwise, why was Lord Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune, taking so much care for him? They were still more surprised to see that the Brahmana was seated on the bedstead of Lord Krishna. They were especially surprised to see that Lord Krishna had embraced him exactly as he embraced his elder brother, Balaramji, because Lord Krishna used to embrace only Rukmini and Balaram and no one else. After receiving the Brahmana nicely and seating him on his own cushioned bed, Lord Krishna said, "My dear Brahmana friend, you are a most intelligent personality, and you know very well the principles of religious life. I believe that after you finished your education at the house of our teacher, and after you sufficiently remunerated him, you must have gone back to your home and accepted a suitable wife. I know very well that from the beginning you were not at all attached to the materialistic way of life, nor did you desire to be very opulent materially, and therefore you are in need of money. In this material world, persons who are not attached to material opulence are very rarely found. Such unattached persons haven't the least desire to accumulate wealth and prosperity for sense gratification. But sometimes they are found to collect money just to exhibit the exemplary life of a householder. They show how, by proper distribution of wealth, one can become an ideal householder and at the same time become a great devotee. Such ideal householders are to be considered followers of my footsteps. Because Krishna, he is natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, natasya mas chabhyate gashta dishate. He has nothing to do. He has no duty. He has nothing to gain. And there's nothing equal to or above him. But still Krishna comes here and performs so many duties, playing the part of a householder. And he gives in charity, yes, so much wealth, cows, grains. Every day we heard his daily activities, constantly giving charity to the brahmanas, distributing wealth. This is one of the important items for a householder, to control the senses and to distribute in charity. Of course, time is also a charitable distribution. But if one has wealth, one should distribute it to appropriate persons, meaning brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So, Krishna set this example himself. And he says, such ideal householders are to be considered followers of my footsteps, because they show how, by proper distribution of wealth, one can become an ideal householder and at the same time become a great devotee. Lord Krishna says, I hope, my dear Brahmana friend, you remember all those days in our school life when both you and I were living together at the boarding house. Actually, whatever knowledge both you and I received in our life was accumulated in our student life. If a man is sufficiently educated in student life under the guidance of a proper teacher, then his life becomes successful in the future. He can very easily cross over the ocean of nations, and he is not subjected to the influence of illusory energy. Right, brahmachari training is so valuable. My dear friend, Krishna says, everyone should consider his father to be his first teacher, because by the mercy of one's father, one gets this body. The father is therefore the natural spiritual master. Our next spiritual master is he who initiates us into transcendental knowledge. And he is to be worshipped as much as I am. The spiritual master may be more than one. The spiritual master who instructs the disciples about spiritual matters is called Shiksha Guru. And the spiritual master who initiates the disciple is called Diksha Guru. Both of them are my representatives. There may be many spiritual masters who instruct, but the initiator spiritual master is one. Srila Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that generally one's Shiksha Guru, instructing spiritual master, becomes one's initiating spiritual master later on. There may be many spiritual masters who instruct, but the initiator spiritual master is one. A human being who takes advantage of these spiritual masters and, receiving proper knowledge from them, crosses the ocean of material existence, is to be understood as having properly utilized his human form of life. He has practical knowledge that the ultimate interest of life, which is to be gained only in this human form, is to achieve spiritual perfection and thus be transferred back home, back to Godhead. Lord Krishna continues. First of all, any thoughts or questions or comments? That we've read quite a lot. If anybody has any burning reflection, then let me know. Otherwise, we'll keep hearing. Okay? Krishna continues. My dear friend, I am Paramatma, the Supersoul present in everyone's heart. And it is my direct order that human society must follow the principles of Varna and Ashrama. As I have stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the human society should be divided according to quality and action into 4 varnas. Yes, the 4 varnas are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Yes, the intelligent class, the intelligent, priestly, learned class, the martial, administrative, warrior class, the productive class, and the laborer class. These divisions, these natural inclinations of work are already there, but it requires that we organize ourselves accordingly. If we can do this, there will be advancement of human society. And if we can't do this, it will always be chaos. This is Krishna's order. Similarly, everyone should divide his life into 4 parts. This is called ashrama. One should utilize the first part of life in becoming a bona fide student, receiving adequate knowledge and keeping oneself in the vow of brahmacharya, so that one may completely devote his life for the service of the spiritual master without indulging in sense gratification. This is education. Not that you just go to a building with a whole bunch of other people and absorb your mind in activities of sense gratification while reluctantly learning some facts and figures. Real education means serving in the house of the spiritual master and restraining one's senses, controlling one's senses, and learning humble, submissive service, and remaining celibate. This is education. A brahmachari is meant to lead a life of austerities and penance. So the student life is meant for developing a taste for some austerity, for acquiring some attraction to austerity, not for free reign of the senses for material enjoyment. The householder is meant to live a regulated life of sense gratification. Right? Some sense gratification is allowed, conceded in householder life, but it has to be regulated. But no one should remain a householder for the 3rd stage of life. In that stage, one has to return to the austerities and penances formerly practiced in brahmachari life, and thus relieve himself of the attachment to household life. After being relieved of his attachments to the materialistic way of life, one may accept the order of sannyasa. Krishna continues. These are the Lord's instructions. Yeah? Don't blame me. Don't blame Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has given us this knowledge, these instructions, as a faithful servant of Lord Sri Krishna. These are God's instructions, His directions. If we have a quarrel with such injunctions, then where's our faith? Where's our faith in God? This is Krishna's way of establishing proper society. 4 varnas, 4 ashrams, a progressive march through life, from birth to death, through different stages. The Lord continues, as the supersoul of the living entities sitting in everyone's heart, I observe everyone's activity in every stage and order of life. Regardless of which stage one is in, when I see that one is engaged seriously and sincerely in discharging the duties ordered by the spiritual master, and is thus dedicating his life to the service of the spiritual master, that person becomes most dear to me. So if we want to become most dear to Krishna, then we just have to understand what he's telling us here. He says, regardless of which stage you're in, when I see that one is engaged seriously and sincerely in discharging the duties ordered by the spiritual master, and is thus dedicating his life to the service of the spiritual master, that person becomes most dear to me. So we need a spiritual master, and we need to hear what the spiritual master wants from us, and we need to dedicate our energy to fulfilling those instructions. Then we'll become most dear to Krishna. Otherwise, how? Krishna continues, as far as the life of brahmacharya is concerned, if one can continue the life of a brahmachari under the direction of his spiritual master, that is extremely good. But if in brahmachari life one feels sex impulses, then he should take leave of his spiritual master, satisfying him according to the Guru's desire. According to the Vedic system, a gift is offered to the spiritual master, which is called Guru Dakshina. Then the disciple should take to householder life and accept a wife according to religious rites. Srila Prabhupada writes, these instructions given by Lord Krishna while talking with his friend, the learned Brahmana, are very good for the guidance of human society. A system of human civilization that does not promote Varna and Ashrama is nothing but polished animal society. Right? So that's what we have. Polished animal society. Indulgence in sex life by a man or woman living single is never acceptable in human society. A man should either strictly follow the principles of brahmachari life or, with the permission of the spiritual master, should get married. Single life with illicit sex is animal life. For the animals, there is no marriage institution. Yeah. The animals are at liberty to have sex here, there, and as they please. Yeah, we've seen it, especially in India. They have no marriage institution. But the human being has the institution of marriage to keep one honest and to keep one focused on the real mission of human life. Because illicit sex contaminates the mind and distracts one from one's real purpose of spiritual progress. Modern society does not aim at fulfilling the mission of human life. The mission of human life is to go back home, back to Godhead. To fulfill this mission, the system of Varna and Ashrama must be followed. When the system is followed rigidly and consciously, it fulfills this mission of life. So in other words, when the system of Varna and Ashrama is rigidly and consciously followed, then the mission of human life, going back to Godhead, is fulfilled. So Lord Krishna is saying we must have Varnashram Dharma in human society in order to go back to Godhead. Because it progresses everybody. It uplifts everybody. When it is followed indirectly, without guidance of superior order, then it simply creates a disturbing condition in human society, and there is no peace and prosperity. So we have to take a break here, because I'm required to go out somewhere and come back. In 20 minutes, there will be Bhagavad Gita class. Yeah? And until then, we can put on Srila Prabhupada's recording, his chanting. But we're going to continue this tomorrow. This is such a beautiful chapter. This is such a wonderful pastime. Lord Krishna is giving so many beautiful instructions here in the presence of his dear friend, Sudama Vipra. And tomorrow we're going to find out what happens. Yes? What happens to Sudama? He's come all the way to see his dear friend. His wife has begged him to go because she thinks that the Lord will be kind and help Sudama in his impoverished condition. But Sudama himself is not fussed. He just is happy to have the opportunity to see his dear friend Krishna. But something wonderful is going to transpire, so we'll hear about that tomorrow. Thanks so much for staying and listening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Guru Shri Juta Pada कमलं श्रीगुरु वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितान् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा
So, Hare Krishna, everyone. So, we're now going to have a short discussion, a talk on the Bhagavad Gita. So, if everyone could maybe just face towards this way. So yes, every evening at 6 p.m. we have a class, a discussion on the Bhagavad Gita. So just before we begin, we'll sing a short song. It's known as Jai Radha Madhav. It's just names of Krishna. So please try and follow along. It'll be in our usual call and response style. So first I'll sing, and then you just have to sing back. Easy, right? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Your turn. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Bhraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Bhraja Jana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Thank you. Thank you for joining in. Just before we begin looking at the Bhagavad Gita, I'll quickly recite some prayers. If you know them, you can also follow along. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So you can all see the screen. So today's shloka, today's verse is up there on the screen. There's also one there. So we're going to try and reciting the Sanskrit. Okay? Ready? Maybe first you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll try and repeat line by line. Okay? Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas. Tasya Radhanam Ihate. Tasya Radhanam Ihate. Labhate cha tatha kaman. Labhate cha tatha kaman. Mayeva vihitan hitan. Mayeva vihitan hitan. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas. Tasya Radhanam Ihate. Labhate cha tatha kaman. Mayeva vihitan hitan. Would anyone else like to try leading the recitation? Sataya Shraddhaya Tasya Radhanam Ihate. Labhate cha tatha kaman. Mayeva Vihitan Hitan. Anyone else like to try? No? Yeah, go for it. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas. Shrataya Shraddhaya Yuktas. Tasya Radhanamihate. Tasya Radhanamihate. Labate cha tatha kaman. Labate cha tatha kaman. Mayeva Vihitan Hitan. Mayeva Vihitan Hitan. Yeah. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas. Tasya Radhanamihate. Tasya Radhanamihate. Labate cha tatha kaman. Labate cha tatha kaman. Mayeva Vihitan Hitan. Mayeva Vihitan Hitan. Thank you very much. So, I'll just quickly read out the word for word translations and then I'll read the translations. Sa, he, taya, with that, shraddhaya, inspiration, yukta, endowed, tasya, of that demigod, aradhanam, for the worship, ihate, he aspires, labate, obtains, cha, and, tatha, from that, kaman, his desires, maya, by me, eva, alone, vihitan, arranged, he certainly, and those. So, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. The demigods cannot award benedictions to their devotees without the permission of the Supreme Lord. The living entity may forget that everything is the property of the Supreme Lord, but the demigods do not forget. So the worship of demigods and achievement of desired results are due not to the demigods, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by arrangement. The less intelligent living entity does not know this, and therefore he foolishly goes to the demigods for some benefit. But the pure devotee, when in need of something, prays only to the Supreme Lord. Asking for material benefit, however, is not a sign of a pure devotee. A living entity goes to the demigods usually because he is mad to fulfill his lust. This happens when something undue is desired by the living entity, and the Lord himself does not fulfill the desire. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that one who worships the Supreme Lord and at the same time desires material enjoyment is contradictory in his desires. Devotional service to the Supreme Lord and the worship of a demigod cannot be on the same platform, because worship of a demigod is material and devotional service to the Supreme Lord is completely spiritual. For the living entity who desires to return to Godhead, material desires are impediments. A pure devotee of the Lord is therefore not awarded the material benefits desired by less intelligent living entities, who therefore prefer to worship demigods of the material world rather than engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so we'll discuss briefly on what is written and explained here. Just out of curiosity, how many of you have tried reading Bhagavad Gita before? Some of you? Nice. Good. So, as I'm sure many of you know, the Bhagavad Gita is a conversation, right? And it's taking place on a battlefield between Arjun and Krishna. Arjun is very confused about what to do, because he's seeing his friends and family on both sides of the battlefield. He's seeing his teachers, his gurus, on the opposite side of the battlefield. And so therefore, he's feeling quite reluctant to fight, because he doesn't want to unnecessarily go into battle to kill them, to be involved in so much violence. So therefore, he turns to his best friend, his cousin, Krishna, and he asks for guidance, right? What to do in this situation. And so today we're on chapter 7 of this discussion, and here it is discussing about worshipping different types of personalities and the goals that we can obtain, right? So does anyone know what is the general goal of worshipping God or worshipping Krishna? What do we want out of it? What's the general goal when we worship? Peace? Okay, good. Anything more?
We look for different things at different times.
But generally, what is the goal? Like, what is the ultimate goal, or rather? Liberation? Okay. Self-realization? Okay, good. Anything else? To connect with God. Okay. To develop relationship with God. Yeah. Okay. Any other final answers? Any final thoughts? So generally, it's described in the scriptures that the basic goal of religion, the basic goal of worshipping God is a little bit like you were saying, to revive one's relationship with God and ultimately get love of God, right? Prema, or love. And you can see that across not just what is described in Bhagavad Gita, but almost most major world religions. The goal is get love of God, develop relationship with God, right? And if you want to develop love, if you want to develop relationship, then it means that there has to be freedom, right? You cannot force someone to have love. You cannot force someone to be in a relationship where there's genuine exchange, right? There has to be free will. There has to be freedom. So therefore, Krishna is giving us freedom. He doesn't force us to worship Him. He doesn't force us to worship Him. He gives us the freedom that, okay, if we don't want to worship Him, then Krishna allows that. Krishna facilitates that. And so therefore, here in this verse, you can see that Krishna is saying, endowed with such a faith. So it's referring to the previous verse. So in the previous verse, it is described that if someone wants to worship someone else, some other devata, some other demigod, then Krishna is the one who actually gives the person that faith to worship someone else, because Krishna is there in the heart. Of course, Krishna gives us freedom, free will, but it's not complete freedom. We can't literally do whatever we like, right? Like if tomorrow you want to be the king or queen of England, you can't just, no matter how hard you try, it may not be possible. So we don't have complete freedom, but we have some freedom. Generally, it is based on our karma. Depending on how much good karma we have, according to that, we can facilitate an according reward, right? And like I was saying, if we don't want to worship Krishna, Krishna also facilitates. Like later on in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. So Krishna explains that He is sitting in everyone's heart. Krishna is there in the heart. And because He is there with us, He can understand all our desires. And so therefore, if a living entity wants to do something else, if a living entity wants to forget Him, if someone wants to be an atheist, then Krishna says, from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So if someone wants to forget Krishna, if someone wants to be separate from God, then Krishna facilitates. Krishna gives that freedom to us. That if we don't want to be with Him, okay, Krishna is happy to facilitate. He wants to give us the independence, because without independence there can't be relationship, there can't be love. It can't be forced, right? So those that want to be atheists, Krishna allows them to forget about Him. Those that want to worship someone else, Krishna gives them the faith by which they can worship someone else. Of course, Krishna gives, in the Bhagavad Gita, he gives details about what he wants. Just because he allows us to do something doesn't mean that's his primary desire. There's a difference between what he wants us to do and what he allows us to do, right? Krishna is very clear in the Bhagavad Gita that ultimately we should think of him, worship him, surrender unto him. He doesn't refer to anyone else. But he gives the freedom. He gives the result that, okay, if you do want to worship someone else, then this is the result. This is how it can be done. This is how it works. This is the result. And at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, so I've told you all the options. Now it's up to you. He gives that free will at the end. Now you have to decide what you want to do. I've just laid out all the options for you. So it's a little bit like, if a parent has to teach a child something, then at the beginning they may explain. They may try and explain nicely. But sometimes what happens is ultimately they may have to give some independence. Maybe the child has to make a mistake to really learn the lesson, right? Like sometimes the example is given that, sometimes you have like a table fan, it's spinning quite fast. So maybe the child wants to stick their finger in, So the parent may explain to them that no, it's dangerous. It may injure you. But ultimately, if they don't want to listen again and again, maybe they just have to experience it once and get a little shock, right? So Krishna gives us what he wants us to do. But then it's up to us if we want to follow. And there are consequences each way. Depending on whatever we do, it will have the appropriate result. So Krishna is there in the heart. It is described that he has two roles. Upadrashta, Numanta, Cha, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara, Paramatmeti Chapyukto, Dehismin, Purusha Para. It is described that Krishna in the heart, he is known as the Param Atma. Atma means soul. Param means topmost or best or super soul. That's how we translate it. So Krishna is the super soul in the heart, and he has two functions. He has two roles that he plays in the heart. One is that he is known as the overseer. Upadrashta means he's like the eternal CCTV. He's there, seeing everything, witnessing everything that we do, seeing all our different activities, all our different desires. And his other role is Anumanta, which means the permitter, which means that we may have certain desires, but then Krishna sees, okay, do we have enough karma, do we have enough piety, enough devotional credits, and appropriately he permits, he allows it to happen, or he doesn't allow it to happen, depending on our desires, our karma, our devotional credits, so on. Because nothing can happen without the sanction of Krishna. They say that not even a blade of grass can move without the sanction of Krishna. Because the soul, the Atma, is not made of matter. We're not made of atoms and chemicals. The body is made of atoms and chemicals. So if we want to act in the world, then Krishna has to allow it. Krishna has to help arrange it. Right? It's not that we, the soul, are doing anything. Because the soul is not made of matter. So, if we want to worship someone else, Krishna allows us, he gives us the faith. But worshipping someone else may not give us the same reward. Worshipping some other entity and worshipping God will give different results. Just like if I want to get to Watford, then I can't just start walking in any random direction and expect that somehow I'll arrive in Watford, right? I have to walk in a particular direction. I have to go in a certain way. I have to do certain things. I have to catch the right bus, maybe, right? I can't just get on any random bus, get on any random train and expect that I'll be in Watford town centre, right? So similarly, worshipping different personalities gives different rewards. It's not that you can worship anyone and everyone and still get love of God, or still get the ultimate goal, or get liberation, so on. Sometimes in the world we see that people even like to worship celebrities, right? You've seen pictures, like people doing Arati to like cricket players, Bollywood actors, so on, right? So worshipping ordinary humans may not give us so much in return, right? Maybe we might get an autograph at best, right? Nothing special. Then, it is of course described in the Bhagavad Gita what is the result of worshipping different other personalities, different devatas, different demigods. Krishna explains that yanti deva vrata devan pitran yanti prita vrata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti mam yajinopi mam. Krishna explains that if you worship the demigods, the devatas, then that's where you'll go. You'll go to Swarga, which is a temporary place where you can be with the demigods. You can be with Indra and Surya and Chandra and so on. If you want to worship the ancestors, the Pitras, you can worship them and then you will go and be with them. They have a special planet, the Pitraloka. And there are people in the world who apparently like to worship ghosts. Bhutani yanti bhuteja. So Krishna says you can worship the ghosts and you can also be a ghost by worshipping the ghosts. You'll also be with the ghosts. And then Krishna says, if you worship me, like not me, but Krishna, if you worship Krishna, then you will go to Krishna. You will be with Krishna. So it's not that you worship anyone and you'll end up in the same place. You worship the devatas, the demigods, you'll end up with them. You worship Krishna, you'll end up with him. Actually, the role of a demigod or devata, like Indra, Chandra, Surya, these are all, you can think of them like occupations, like jobs. Like someone can be a software developer, someone can be a banker. It is not that, it's like a role, it's a temporary occupation that a living entity takes up. And generally it is done by souls. It's done by souls just like me and you. There are souls occupying these positions of Indra, Surya, Chandra, so on. Just like we may have a company with a CEO, and then the CEO appoints different people to have different responsibilities. The CEO doesn't do everything, and not everyone in the company is the CEO, right? Everyone has different responsibilities, different powers, and they're all given by the creator or the CEO of the company. Someone is like in charge of finance, someone is in charge of research development, someone is in charge of the technology, but they're all getting their responsibility and power from one person, right? The CEO, the founder. So similarly, Krishna is like the CEO, and he gives different responsibilities, different powers to different entities based on their karma. Like you could be Indra in your next life. You never know. It's described like that. Like for example, in the Mahabharata, maybe some of you have heard of one of the personalities. His name was Vidura. Vidura was one of the brothers of Dhritarashtra, the blind king, right? So Vidura was an incarnation. He was actually Yamaraj. Yamaraj is like the god of justice or death, right? So Yamaraj came, whenever Krishna comes or his different avatars, different incarnations come, then sometimes the devatas, the demigods, they also take birth on earth. Like when Lord Ram came, then many of the Vanaras, they're actually described to be different devatas, different demigods. So similarly, when Krishna came, then there was Vidura, one personality, and he was actually Yamaraj. So who was being Yamaraj? While Vidura was here, while the original Yamaraj was here, who was doing his job? So it's described in the scriptures that someone else was taking up his role. So it's a role, it's an occupation. These demigods, these devatas, they're just posts, they're temporary. Whereas of course Krishna is eternal. Krishna has been existing eternally right from the beginning. So therefore, generally whatever rewards also one can obtain by worshipping the different devatas, the different demigods, they also tend to be material because the roles and responsibilities that they have, they are within the universe, right? Krishna is existing even outside the universe. He was the very source of the universe. But all these different personalities, they're within the universe, and generally, therefore, the responsibilities they have, the powers that they have are material. So you can see here in the translation it says, and all these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Because Krishna is the source of all their power, all their responsibilities. So whatever they want, they can bestow, whatever rewards they can give according to what people worship them, all the rewards are ultimately coming from him. They're all coming from Krishna. Like we have a famous example in Krishna Leela, that one day Krishna and Balaram observed that all the residents of Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj and so on, they were all getting ready to worship Indra. They were all getting ready to worship Lord Indra. They were preparing to perform a huge sacrifice to Lord Indra. And of course, Krishna was a young boy, so he couldn't just tell them, okay, stop, this is not right. He couldn't just tell them. Because Nanda Maharaj is his father, right? It's his senior. You can't just tell him to not do something. But he started asking questions. Why do we offer sacrifice, worship to Indra? What is the reason? And he started giving arguments also, that why do we have to worship different personalities like this? He started giving giving fake arguments. He started saying, okay, Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki. So the curtains will open again at 7 o'clock and there will be Arati at 7 o'clock. So, yeah, Krishna and Balaram, they saw that all the residents of Vrindavan, they were preparing to worship Indra. And so Krishna began to ask his father, why do we worship Indra? Why do we have to do all this? Why can't we just rely on karma? If we have enough good karma, then we'll get a good reward. We don't have to depend on worshipping anyone. So then they explained to him that, okay, you can't just rely on karma because karma is coming from someone, right? There are personalities involved overlooking it, because just by our own efforts alone, it's not enough to achieve anything or to be assured of anything. Just like, for example, one may try and take perfect care of their health, but still someone might get a disease, right? Because there are things outside your control. So therefore, they were giving different reasons as to why to perform worship, why not to just rely on karma. And so then Krishna started giving further arguments. He started describing that, well, Indra is dependent on receiving worship. Why do we have to offer worship like that? Why can't we then he suggested, why not just worship Govardhan Hill? Why worship Indra? Because actually it's the hill that's giving us everything. The hill has different streams, it has so many nice trees, it's giving so many fruits and vegetation and so on. So why to worship Indra? Why not just worship Govardhan Hill? Krishna was doing it deliberately also because he wanted to remove Indra's pride. Because Indra, of course, like all the demigods, gets his position from Krishna, but Indra had forgotten. Indra had got pride. So just to remove his pride, Krishna began speaking like this, encouraging all the residents of Vrindavan to stop their worship of Indra, just to make Indra angry. So then, of course, there's the famous pastime that out of great anger, Indra then sends a lot of rain, sends many big thunderclouds, creates a huge storm, and out of fright, the residents of Vrindavan come to Krishna, and Krishna gives them shelter by lifting the whole Govardhan hill, and he gives them shelter. And for 7 days, they're all standing under the Govardhan hill, and Indra is sending so much rain, so many storms. And finally Indra realizes that, okay, this is something extraordinary. So finally he realizes his mistake, he comes to Krishna, he admits his pride, his fault. So the whole point being that Krishna is the source of the position of the demigods, right? And even, yeah, you can come in, yeah. Darshan is closed, it will open again at 7 o'clock, then there will be Arati, yes, 7 o'clock. So, basically the idea is that because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so he delegates different kinds of responsibilities and roles to different personalities in the universe. Because one of the properties of God is that God is all-powerful. And so therefore it is explained in the Vedic literature that Therefore, God doesn't have to do anything. God has nothing to do. Because if you're all powerful, then you don't have to actually physically go and do things yourself, right? You don't even have to click your fingers. You just have to want something to happen, and it's done, right? Krishna is all powerful. So therefore, he doesn't have to do anything. Of course, to set the example, still we see in Krishna's life that he still performs certain duties. He still follows generally the general etiquette. Like we see that in Krishna's life, he went to school. He went to Gurukul. He had a guru, Sandipani Muni. He took lessons. Of course, Krishna knows everything. He doesn't have to have a teacher. But just to set the standard that everyone should have a teacher, everyone should have a guru. So he also went to Gurukul. Later on, he was in family life. So he was fulfilling all the roles and responsibilities of being a prince, of being a protector, of having a family. So it's not that Krishna has to do all these things. He could just make sure all these responsibilities are taken care of without actually doing any activity, but just to set the right example, just so that other people don't forgo their responsibilities. Krishna was also taking care of his duties, his responsibilities. It's described that one day, someone from Germany was traveling through India many years ago, and they were interested in Hinduism. So they were visiting many, many different temples of many, many different demigods, or many different gods, including Krishna, Vishnu, and so many other personalities. And it's described that just by visiting different temples and observing different deities, they concluded that Krishna must be the supreme. And they concluded this because they observed that so many different personalities, they were either holding weapons, right? Like many different personalities, they're holding some kind of weapon. Even Vishnu is holding a Sudarshan chakra, right? Shiva is holding his trident and so on. And many of these personalities were also doing different things, or they were looking angry. Like even Lord Shiva is seen as meditating. So what is he meditating on? So all these different personalities, they were always doing something. They were having some weapons. Sometimes some of them would look angry. Whereas he would go to any temple of Krishna, and what would he see? Krishna is just standing there. Radha and Krishna are just standing there. They're smiling. And Krishna is just holding a flute. It's very different to all the other deities, all the other personalities. And so therefore he concluded that this must be God. This must be the original God, because he doesn't have anything to do. He's just having fun. He's just playing an instrument. He's not doing anything else. So in this way, it is explained that basically all we have to do is worship Krishna. By worshipping Krishna, then we can achieve everything that we want. By worshipping demigods, we can get material results. But the problem with material results is that they're temporary, right? Even if we worship different demigods, they can only give us material rewards. And so, by material rewards, no one has ever found permanent happiness. No one has ever found deep satisfaction, found ananda. Like no one has got a new iPhone and then been eternally happy for the rest of their life. You don't hear someone got a new car, got a new phone, and then they lived happily ever after, right? Then they want something else, and then they want something else, and they want something else. Sometimes we may work very, very hard, and we may not even get what we want, right? And then even if you get what you want, it may not still give you the happiness that you expected. Sometimes we have really, really big expectations, and then we get what we want and it doesn't quite meet our expectations. Then it falls short. It's like, what do you call it? Anyway, I forgot the term, but when something is a disappointment, it didn't quite live up to the expectations, And sometimes even if it lives up to the expectations, it doesn't really last for so long. You may feel happy, you may feel satisfied for some amount of time, and then you get bored, and then you want something else new, right? So therefore, it is said here in the commentary that material desires are an impediment to devotional service. They're an impediment to bhakti. Because if we want to develop a loving relationship, then generally the idea of love means there should be some level of selflessness. Because otherwise, if it's not selfless, then the relationship will naturally be transactional. the idea will be that I do something for you and you do something for me. Okay, Krishna, I'm going to give you £10 and you give me £100 back. There's like some transaction involved. But the idea of a relationship that has love means there should be selflessness. And so therefore, if someone is approaching the relationship with particular idea of, they want a particular reward, a particular benefit, then it means that it's not completely selfless, So therefore, the idea of bhakti is it's meant to be completely selfless. It's meant to be without any material desires. Naturally, at our stage, we may have material desires, right? We can't be artificially selfless. We can't just here, you have to be selfless, and then just let go of all our desires. So it is described that actually just by worshipping Krishna, one can gradually become free of desires. It is described in the Bhagavatam, kama sarva kamo va moksha kamo udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. It is described that someone may be full of all kinds of desires, someone may have no desires at all. But in either case, one can worship Krishna, because by worshipping Krishna, one can gradually let go of all their desires. Just by being in touch with Krishna, one naturally becomes purified. And so naturally one's desires may decrease. That means that basically we should understand and accept and recognize that, okay, maybe at our stage we do have desires. Maybe we do have certain things that we want. But we should at least understand that this is the ultimate goal, that we should try to be selfless. Our goal is to let go of the desires. We can ask Krishna for help with letting go of all the different attachments and desires we have, and thereby come to the perfectional stage, the ultimate stage. And of course, the main way in which we can connect to Krishna, the simple way in which we can connect to Krishna is simply by chanting. It is described that chanting doesn't have any rules, it doesn't have any regulations. You don't have to do it at a particular time of day. It doesn't have to be done early in the morning. Of course, doing meditation, chanting earlier in the morning is more beneficial, because nothing else is on our mind, right? Our mind is completely free of everything else because we haven't done anything else in the day. So it is described early in the morning as the best, but you don't have to do it early in the morning. You don't have to do it sitting down. You can do it standing up. So in general, basically it's described that chanting doesn't have any rules and regulations. And yet, simply by chanting, one can achieve all perfection. One can gradually let go of all their desires and reach the ultimate stage. So I don't know if anyone has any reflections, questions, thoughts that they would like to share. We still have about 10 minutes. No?
We see or we hear that any action that we're doing, devotional service, that this has eternal results.
Yeah.
That the results of this are eternal. And in the material world, in our relationships, we don't have any scope to understand that that's like. So, like, I guess the closest would be like the mother and the child, right?
Mm-hmm. You can come in.
This independence, this freedom in our relationship, for that to be authentic
Uh-huh.
with Krishna. And how do we really appreciate like the meaning of that? How do we, instead of looking at it from a material point of view, where it was like, well, if Krishna's giving me this freedom, this faith to worship this demigod, then yeah, why not just wait till the next life or wait till the end of my life? Because that's kind of the material way of thinking about it. Relationship is like this. So like, where's the sense of urgency coming from?
If you're saying that if we have unlimited lifetimes and whatever reward for spiritual practice is eternal, then what's the urgency? We can just do it later, do it at the end of the life, do it next life.
Like maybe what I'm, because I mean I'm seeing that like yeah, Krishna, it must be. I mean it sounds like somebody just this whole lesson of if you love something, let it go.
Yeah.
And that's a high thing.
Yeah.
Not
So does Krishna feel bad or feel angry that we're not coming to him? Yeah, I mean, in one sense, it's described that yes, Krishna wants us back, right? Because we already have a relationship with Krishna. Our relationship with Krishna is eternal. Therefore, Krishna is definitely wanting us to come back, and so therefore, he comes to the world again and again. He sends different personalities. We have all these scriptures describing the process to get back to him. So in so many ways, he's encouraging us to come back to him. But at the same time, because coming back involves reviving and developing our loving relationship, therefore he can't force us to come back. He can't force us to love him. And so therefore he has to give us independence. And also in one sense we can understand that he doesn't require our worship, It's not like by worshipping him he gets any benefit personally out of it. It's not like he needs wealth or he needs people to feed him or so on. So it's not that because we're worshipping Krishna, so Krishna is kind of getting benefit out of it. Ultimately, the reason for worshipping Krishna is that we get benefit, that we get put back into our original spiritual position. We remove all the different anxieties and sufferings from our life. We return to be with him, and we get our relationship back with him. It's not that, for Krishna, he wants us back to be with him, but other than that, he's not really getting benefits out of being worshipped. Really, it's for our benefit that we connect with Krishna. And so therefore, yeah, of course, he doesn't want us to be here alone, enjoying in the world, separately from him. But at the same time, as far as I understand, he's allowing us this independence, this freedom. I don't know if that fully answers your question.
Yeah, because I think to the capacity or to the level, to the limit of our understanding that we can relate to Krishna through chanting, through deity devotional service, then we can connect to Krishna. However we do that, then we can take on the qualities that we see, that we are able to understand. And so, the more that we're doing, the more we understand, the better we can perform that service.
Yeah, and the reason to engage with spiritual activity is because this is what aligns with our nature, right? Because it's explained very vividly in the Bhagavad Gita that we're not the body, meaning that we're not just made of atoms and chemicals, right? If we were just made of atoms and chemicals, then if we were just made of matter, then nothing matters, because then if it's all just atoms and chemicals, then everything is just a chemical reaction. Everything is just a physical reaction. Then you can't really say anything is good or bad or whatever. It's all just reacting with each other. There's no free will. So therefore, of course, we know that there's something beyond the body, something beyond matter, spirit, the soul. And that's who we really are. And so if we're not made of matter, therefore it doesn't make sense to look for happiness, to look for fulfillment from matter, from physical things, right? We have to look for something beyond. And so therefore we try and engage with spiritual activity so that it aligns with our inner nature, because we're also spiritual entities. And so in this way, we can revive our relationship with Krishna. And like you were saying, spiritual practice has eternal benefit. Nothing material is eternal, right? Everything in the universe, everything we've experienced, everything has a beginning and everything has an end, right? There's nothing that we know in the universe that has been there forever. Even the universe itself, even science agrees, was created at some point and it will also end at some point. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes Neha Bhikramanashasti Pratyavayana Vidyate Svalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. That whatever endeavor one makes on this path, on this spiritual path, there is no loss or diminution. The progress is saved eternally. It's like a bank account with no withdrawals. It only gets added. And so even if we don't somehow achieve perfection in this life, then we just continue from where we left off in the next life. So yes. Any other comments reflections, questions? Okay, so we can finish there. Thank you very much for patiently listening. So Darshan will open again in about 6 minutes, and there will be Arati. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Yeah, we should just put the Vyasa back. Sorry, we just need to put the chair.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanshan Shri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanitanscha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta
Yeah, so the Arati is going to start now. We can get ready, getting up. Sing. Jaya Rata Gokulananda, Rara Gokulananda, Rara Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Rara Gokulananda, Rara Gokulananda, Rara Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Jai Shri Shri Radha Kulanda Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki. We'll be offering now the Gaura Arati, so you'll find the text here on the top to follow. Kevadaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kasova. Devadaya Daya Gaura Chande Arati Kasova. Janavita Tavane Daramanalo Vada. Janavita Tavane Daramanalo
Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Patarine Nirvishesha Sandhya Asadare Satarine Gauravani Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gora Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gora Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Sri Radhe. Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gorannitai, Jaya Gorannitai, Jaya Gorannitai, Jaya Gorannitai, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Yes, now we will offer our prayers. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Asita Shri Srimati Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Anatapurti Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Navarit Mayapur Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Bhaktivedanta Manor Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Vrinda Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yakya Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Gaura Premanande Hare 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 Bol. All glories to somebody devotees. All glories to somebody devotees. All glories to somebody devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gaura. Continue now with Nishimali prayer.
Can I request everyone to sit down, please, for 5 minutes, and we'll have the nursing prayers for our protection. Thank you. Namaste Narasimhaya. केशवधीता नर हरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे अवतार कमल वरे अद्भुत श्री नरसिंह भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, गौर प्रेमानंदे. Thank you very much all for attending the Arati. Prashadam is now being served outside in the adjacent room, and the next Arati will be at 9 o'clock. We'll have some kirtans from now till 9:30, so please, you're all welcome to stay back.